Welcome home, you guys. So for this mini pod, we actually talk about a question you guys ask all the time, and that is, why do you guys call yourselves Native Land Pod? We actually get into that on our very first show. So take a listen, and we talk about why we started this podcast in the first place. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and don't forget, we have a New Year's Eve episode dropping this Thursday, so be sure to tune into that. We'll see you in 2025.
We could have chosen from any number of names, numbers, themes out there. Tell me, in your own opinion, why Native Land as the theme and the topic and the title of this show?
Well, I think y'all know I don't like to do anything shallow. So for me, this has a really deep meaning. When I thought of native land, I thought about James Weldon Johnson and the Black National Anthem and the fact that I will never stand for another national anthem. But in that Black National Anthem, in the last stanza in the third verse, it says, "True to our God, true to our native land." When I think about you all as my friends, my brother, my sister, truth tellers I deeply respect, true to our native land means we can pay homage to the ancestors who were kidnapped from our native land and were brought here to build something that we still have yet to truly benefit from. And we still stand on native land, paying homage to the indigenous folks who built this place, who welcomed people in, who didn't necessarily treat them with kindness. That's an understatement.
Yeah.
But that's what I think of. There's a double entendre there. And to me, it makes me think of that James Baldwin moment when he talks about what real patriotism is.
Yeah.
Because we are patriots, we have every right to question every single aspect of our native land.
I love that.
It's interesting Angela says that, because when she first told me the title to get my opinion about it, I took a different perspective in that we are creating a native land, because no matter how they make us feel, this is our home. And I know my entire career I have felt homeless. Like the news media has always made me feel grossly unwelcome or displaced, in a space that if I were ever speaking a truth or speaking to the rising majority of this country, it was taken as controversial or as something subpar. And even what we consider biased or unbiased is all based in what's rooted in white and male. And so this podcast is a native land for people to come. You have a home here, no matter what you look like, no matter where you come from. Here, we create space for you, and everybody's welcome.
Yeah, I love that. All of us have had our work experience on major platforms, names that would be recognized around the globe. And even in those spaces, while we were invited to offer our opinions and perspectives and analysis, I always felt in many ways curated, even still. It was curated by the wrap it up. It was curated by the 15 seconds. It was curated by, you're the progressive on the panel, and so bring that perspective.
Yeah. Right.
Even if the topic may have been more nuanced than one of a political ideology or perspective. And so, the title, the theme, the titling of the show, Native Land, to me is less about a physical edifice and more like translating these airwaves, translating the way in which we're communicating to our audience and then back to us as a space that doesn't have to be validated, that doesn't need anybody's sign off, that it is ours. It's our quest, our desire to move toward the more perfect, how we define it. I'm excited by the idea of native land, by one, paying homage, if we were to think about it in the physical, to the lands that we sit on, that were robbed, that were taken, that were brutally stolen. But also a reclamation of this space as ours, not belonging to anyone else, not being curated by anyone else other than ourselves, true to our beliefs, our ideals, and frankly, welcoming to people who are just like us out there, scavenging through, just trying to make it, have opinions, not experts at everything, but offering up what they believe. And guess what? If it's their lived experience and their truth, it deserves some platform for airing. Yeah. And I look forward to us being able to do that on this platform.
Welcome home, y'all.
Welcome home. Welcome home.
What you said made me think about the current existing landscape of news media. And so I'm curious to hear from my co-host here. In your opinion, Andrew, who is the mainstream media made for?
Well, I mean, if we were to just assess, the mainstream media by its approach to most things, complicated issues to the simple, I think it's theater in large part. I think it plays a lot of times to consumerism. I think the bottom line matters there more than anyone ever says. And by and large, I think it plays to frighten a majority. It causes a lot of angst. I mean, when I'm at family, it's funny. We were all together for Thanksgiving, my family, and almost to a person, people were like, I don't even want to turn on the news anymore. I know there's nothing good there. And I just found it interesting, having been part of that community before of communicating to people over airwaves. It just struck me that to a person, people found their peace and their solace, their joy and their happiness away from hearing from mainstream news. So what kind of news could you be if you repel otherwise decent, caring, thoughtful people, and that their escape to find peace in their lives or joy in their lives is to not pay attention to the news? That's a sad state of affairs when we think about it. But if that's the experience of every person to a person, you got to believe that it's not accidental.
Yeah.
That the news is being communicated to us in that way.
100%. It's definitely not accidental. I can say that I'm one of them. Like, I cannot watch the news regularly. Cable news programming is just too much. I got some of my friends, shout out to Joy, who will watch and support.
Yeah, we still watch it, Joy.
But I can't watch a lot of it. It is repulsive. It is frustrating when I think about many of the segments that we were on, like, we're set up for Mortal Kombat, and it's exhausting. And so then you're supposed to go home and be your partner's piece, and it's just really hard. So when I think about who the news is made for, I think about, folks who have a hard time developing their own opinion and are easily taken advantage of, easily manipulated. It's almost like the same folks who watch QVC commercials.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they can package it in any way and sell it to you, tell you it's raining and they pissing on you. It really is. It's just too much. And it's exhausting to watch. I get the same feeling watching the news, Tiff, that I did when I used to consume Love and Hip Hop or Basketball Wives. And no shade to some of y'all are my friends, but I watched one day. I did a marathon. Child, I got up. I said, "Oh, I feel dirty."
You were wound
it's the
up.
Same way I feel watching any cable news. It doesn't matter if it's progressive, midstream, or conservative. It really doesn't matter.
It's the wind-up machine.
Yeah.
I
think you feel that way because it is a different version of reality TV. Except it is not our reality. So I think the news, I'll just go one step further and say the news is made for the comfort of white people. That is who is centered. That is the audience they want to curate. Your average cable news viewer is between 62 and 65 and white and male. And so when programmers look at what the content for that day, that is who they're talking to, which is baffling to me because you are speaking to a shrinking demographic and completely ignoring a growing demographic. We are the rising majority of this country, and yet when we show up on air to speak an honest truth in ways how we communicate, it is not accepted. It's considered controversial until the white boy says it's okay to do. So if we speak in our vernacular, when we use the way that we talk, it is not okay until the white boy does it, and then it's fun. We can't quote rap lyrics, but they can. We can't talk about what happens in our life. I'm talking the truth. We say we're going to speak the truth on this podcast. I'm speaking truth. We cannot talk about make references, if I say something that is something that we all understand, right? A colloquial reference that is specific to our community is not okay. And I would always have to say, well, if you don't get it, it ain't for you.
That's right.
The same way I don't always get your country music reference or your Rollin' Tide reference. That ain't for me. I should get to talk to the rising majority of this country and make them feel seen. And so obviously I have a personal testimony
Sure.
that I for sure know. It doesn't matter what the cable news executive looks like. The position they are there to uphold is the comfort of white folks.
Yeah, it's the matrix, right? Just insert whomever.
Yes.
But the system is programmed to operate a particular way and produce a particular result. And this is why I think we have to be really careful when we start lifting up and edifying sort of these individuals as first and the like. And I get the symbolic reference, and it does make me symbolically, proud to have someone exhibited that my daughter or my son or I myself might be able to see. But then we have to go layers deep to understand, like, okay, are you a disruptor? In what way are you changing this thing so that we're not caricatures,
right? The problem is systemic,
for sure, and so that is the difference, right?
Putting a black face that is going to carry the voices of white folks doesn't do anything for the community or the program,
or continue to marginalize, communities that have previously been violated, have been put in boxes, have been reduced to nothingness. If your existence here is only to perpetuate that, not to disrupt it, not to break it so it can forever be broken,
right?
But to rather, continue to expand the bottom line and make, those nice cushy suits happy,
right?
Then you're not of service.
You're useless.
You're not of
You're
service.
feckless.
But where we are going to be of service is right here. And that's one of the reasons
why Native Land matters.
I'm excited about this podcast. I want to know, Tiff, from you first. Why are you excited about this podcast?
I'm excited about this podcast because I get to do this with my friends who I've known a long time. People think we met in media. We did not.
No,
we all have known each other long before we were ever in front of a camera. Exactly. So it's really nice to show up here and, one, be in a space where we feel welcome.
Sure.
Two, I'm excited about this because our words and our truth will not be policed.
Yeah.
I was exhausted with having my words policed or having to fight even to talk about issues that were significant to millions of people across this country and having to defend and define my humanity every week. It's so relaxing to show up in a place where I don't have to do either of those things. We can skip past all that and just get to conversations of substance, but also, to keep it a buck, conversations of some foolishness too. We have a good time with each other. So I'm most excited about that.
And all of that can exist like in one place. I hate this idea that if the world out there is serious, that the only thing you can bring back to the world is seriousness.
Right. Yeah. Black folks will find joy.
And
humor.
And it's not a reduction to the fact that there are real, serious, consequential things going on. But by goodness, we come from generations of folks who had to find joy in the smallest of places because the world wasn't offering it to them. Their every day was torturous. It was labor. It was work. There were no days off. Even your faith was curated to you, right? It was bought to you by, sponsored by Massa and them, right? And so folks had to find moments where you could appreciate being alive and around the people, who you love. The fact that you are whole folks, you're not just an employee of somebody. If I'm bringing it to current day, we're nobody's employee. We're nobody's employer exclusively.
Right.
We're mothers, we're fathers, we're brothers, siblings, we're nieces, nephews, so on and so forth. And that's okay. And in each of those places, we bring a different side of ourselves are allowed to live and breathe. And I'm hopeful that I'm excited that we don't have to check any part of who we are at the door before we walk in and take these mics. That we can show up fully, that I don't have to, apologize for any part of myself. And in life, if we really are in pursuit of, true liberation, that's exactly how it ought to go. We shouldn't have to look over our shoulder and apologize and make excuse for, lament, or feel the weight of imposter syndrome when you're home.
Yeah.
And so we're creating a different kind of home and hopefully moving people closer toward this, this way of thinking rather than this very myopic way in which the world right now requires us to exist.
I'm excited because you all agreed to do this. I'm excited because I know from walking with y'all down the street how much your voices mean to our people. and to a lot of folks who don't look like us, but just felt resonance with you because of your authenticity. So I'm very grateful. I think my excitement is coupled with gratitude because I know that there is a space for this in the hearts and minds of so many, including my own. And I look forward to a refreshing, authentic political conversation where we can chop it up legitimately, not because we're trying to go viral, but because we really are trying to solve some of the toughest problems. And y'all have always been that way. So thank you for being problem solvers and being willing to do it on the record, on air at the Native Land.
Let's get it. Let's get it, family. Native Land Pod is a production of iHeart Radio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeart Radio, visit the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever it is you listen to your favorite shows.